Yes, welcome in one and all. This is the Full 10 Yards Betting Podcast. Just 3 weeks of NFL football left, and we have the divisional round this time. The one seeds come to play after it was very interesting, very exciting, and well, some of the games were, but most of them were blowouts and non-events. Especially my Cowboys doing what they do in the playoffs. So some of the death taxes and Dallas embarrassing themselves in the playoffs. So, but like I say, one seeds are in, and they're obviously hosting their games. So we'll get through all 4 games of the divisional round. Welcome, a good week last week from us. Adam, good evening to you, sir. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. Yeah, 3-3 for me last week, so keeping up my usual mediocrity on my picks in this one. But yeah, I'm doing good. Looking forward to the games this weekend. Obviously, most say it's the best weekend of football of the year. Obviously, you got the 4 of the best teams in the league ready to go. 8 even of the best teams in the league ready to go. And yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good ones.
I should have made you name the 4 good teams and the 4 bad teams, shouldn't I? Really? There you
go. There's 2 good teams and 6 that are just there.
Yeah, one of those teams. I assume from that tone of voice is the Kansas City Chiefs. Liam, how are you confident ahead of Sunday night game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's good to be Sunday night. I'd rather that than Saturday, just because I don't know how you guys feel, but when your team's playing, it's much more enjoyable to watch the other games first, I feel like, because then if your team loses, you're not in a stinking mood for the other games. So, yeah, I'm glad it's Sunday night, but we'll talk about that game in a bit. But yeah, pretty confident. But yeah, I was 4-6 last week, same as you, I think, Tim, and kind of got screwed, to be honest, by my Houston bet, because I said the whole show how much I think Houston can win the game. Picked a bit of a prop instead in Singletree's carries, and yeah, just because they decided to throw the ball all over the yard and didn't get many possessions because of the pick sixes, I kind of got killed on that bet, and your under got killed as well by like half time. So that game kind of mucked both of us up, didn't it, a little bit, I think.
Yeah, well, I think I remember saying that I just can't pick a bet, so I just plumped with that, and it's similar. The two that I lost, I kind of felt that way against. Well, I did like the Rashad White props, but I don't think I didn't. For some reason, I didn't specify those. I didn't even think to go to Rashad White props. But anyway, yeah, 4 out of 6 for me, 4 out of 6 for you, and 3 out of 6 for Adam. So yeah, I think all in all, a very good and profitable weekend, shall we say? So let's hopefully continue that on in the divisional round. We kick off 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, and this one first up. I think this is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. The Houston Texans are traveling to the Baltimore Ravens, and I don't know if I can't really recall many years. I know obviously the 1 seeds are coming into play, but it seems to be quite a lot of high lines. I know obviously there's no double digits in it, but there's a couple of 9.5s, and there's a 6.5, and then obviously there's a 2.5 as well. But it feels like I don't recall there being this wider margin of point spreads, but alas, Baltimore Ravens 9.5 favourites at home. 43.5 is the over/under for the first game up on the divisional round weekend. Adam, your thoughts on this one? I think this is my favourite one of the weekend. I think.
Yeah, 9:30 Saturday, so it's a decent time for us as well. Should be done before 1 on Sunday morning, so at least we get to see that without it ruining the week or starting the week on a tired way. It should be a pretty decent game. Obviously, the Texans were dominant last week, but that was inside in a dome. I'm not entirely sure they'll deal with the cold outside in Baltimore, and these two played each other first game of the season. Obviously, that game, you can't really judge anything from that because both of them were settling into their stride. Obviously, C.J. Stroud's first game of the year, and the Texans have been lights out for the last 5-6 weeks. So it's going to be a very interesting one. I do think that the Ravens are going to kill them, frankly. I think the Ravens are the best team in the league. I think they've got the best defense. I think their points differential was either top or second. It was all up there. Every kind of stat you could want for them. They've got the run game, which the Texans aren't great against. They've got the passing game with Lamar playing well. They've got the defense, which is probably the best defense in the league. Obviously caused issues for the Kyle Shanahan's 49ers, and this is another one from the Shanahan tree going against D'Amico. So I think for me, unfortunately, I think it could well be another blowout, which is not great for the neutrals, but I think it'll be an interesting game. It should be entertaining. CJ Stroud hasn't missed a step really this year, so it will be interesting to see how he does in by far his toughest test. the only worry for me on taking the Ravens -9 is Lamar Jackson's playoff record. He's 1-3 in the playoffs, and last time they had a bye week, they kind of shit the bed as well, with coming off as one of the top seeds. So that is a slight worry for me, but I think they'll obviously deal with their weather. I think they'll put up the points, and I think they'll restrict the Texans, frankly. So I've gone for Ravens -9.5. And then just throwing in a random Dalvin Cook anytime at 17-2 because they cut Mel Gordon this week. So Cook is going to be 3rd/4th option in the run game. I think he will get some play behind Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. And obviously he's got fresh legs, so we'll see what happens with it. But at the odds, I went for it.
I genuinely thought you said 3rd/4th option.
I am mimicking Jack Tuffy, and he is an Irishman. So
the third option. The third option. Shout out Jack T. And also note to self, make a count of how many times you say frankly on these live streams. We should do like a running total in the corner, and I'll update it as we go along because there's a fair few in there, but love to see it. For me this is all about the thing that I'm just going to watch most is how CJ Stroud. Obviously, like I say, you can throw week 1 out the window. This seems night and day difference compared to then to now. I'm just fascinated to see what CJ Stroud does, how he handles it, how he kind of asserts himself, and does he play to his strengths, does he play to who he is, and obviously why they drafted him. Was it third overall? Can't remember what it was now, but let's say it's a tough defense, one of the best defenses in the league, away from home in the playoffs. This is obviously where you get more eyes are on you. This is how you get kind of judged and juried. I'm fascinated to see how he kind of handles the pressure. With on the other side of the ball, you've got the favorite to be MVP for the second time as well. So a lot of storylines going into this one, a lot of stars, a lot of studs, and all 4 units are pretty good. Say the weak unit out of the 4 is probably the Houston defense, although they've been pretty decent. So I wouldn't even call it weak, to be quite honest. But like I say, Baltimore just do and execute pretty well, but they do like you say, Adam, do throw in the odd clanger. Liam, your thoughts? Do you see Texans getting close?
I did think you were going to do the big amble about all the stars and then say what your best bet was, which would have been quite funny with the least star player in the whole game. I do think Houston, they've got a chance. Do you know what I mean? In terms of if you've got a quarterback that can score that many points, throw the ball down the field. The run game has got better. A bit of a weak unit, to be honest, to the last 6 or 7 weeks. It's gotten better now. So they can run the ball as well to an extent, not as well as Baltimore can, but they'll run it enough to kind of keep them honest. They've definitely got a chance of winning. Like Adam said, Lamar's not got the greatest kind of playoff record. His turnover differential is not very good in the playoffs either. It's way worse than it is in the regular season. They haven't played for 3 weeks, most of these key starters now, if you include that week against the Steelers, obviously, where they sat everyone. And from my perspective, when this happened to the Chiefs, I always want Andy to play the starters. I don't want them to have 3 weeks where they don't play. So it wouldn't surprise me if they start slow and Houston can come out and score points. But if Houston come out and we're talking like punt first 2 offensive drives, then I think it could be a bit of a long day for Houston. So they'll need to start fast. But I think there'll be some points. I've gone for the over 43.5 in the game. I think both teams will score. I agree with Adam that Baltimore have been the best team in the league. So I think the offense will be good. It'll score points. I don't think they'll be able to run it as well as normal because Houston are pretty good at stopping the run. But I think that'll just mean Lamar going over the top and we'll see some big plays, which the offense has been pretty good at this year. So if I had to pick a spread, I would say Texans, just because it's massive spread for a divisional game where there's an argument the 2 quarterbacks, there's not loads of difference. That's how good CJ Stroud is. I would go with that if I was betting it. My best bet is over 43.5. I think this could be the highest scoring game of the weekend. Yeah, it is 9. I'd probably buy up and get to 10, just for insurance purposes and whatnot. But that's the side of the spread I'd be on. But I'm going for the most glamorous of betting markets. I'm going looking at the kickers. I'm going for Kami Fairbairn over 5.5 kicking points, which I think is a point too low. Justin Tucker is 7.5, which also kind of appeals, but you're kind of really needing 2 field goals for. You're kind of betting on how many field goals Baltimore are going to score in that one. So I think with Kami Fairbairn, I'm not saying that
the Texans are going to score lots of touchdowns and get 6 touchdowns, but to need 3 obviously for a field goal. He's one of the. I know he's obviously been kicking inside this year, but he's one of the better kickers this league statistically, I believe, as well. So, and obviously you want to be showing up Justin Tucker on his home turf, don't you? So, just thought as 1 point too low, I think, especially with the scoring prowess that the Texans have shown. Even on the defense, they can just kick extra points. So one field goal and 3 touchdowns, I think, is well within the realms of possibility there for Comey Fairbairn. So what we got here: since 2000, underdogs of 9+ points in the divisional round are 11-9 against the spread. So there you go. There's a stat for you. I'd be on Texans if I had to go on the spread there. But I'm going for kickers in that game because why not? It's divisional round. Any more? Also, I've had a little bet on Dalvin Cook because why not? 9-1. Yeah, who knows? Funny things happen.
I don't hate the Sky boost, but like we said last week, check to see if the odds are actually a boost or not.
Yeah.
But the idea of I think it was Lamar and CJ 2 passing touchdowns each, I could see that, because even if you think Baltimore blow them out, second half they'll have to just throw it loads and we'll get garbage time touchdowns if you think that's going to happen. If you think it's a shootout like me, then there's a high chance of that happening anyway. And CJ Stroud loves to throw it in the end zone. So I don't mind that. It's 3-1 on Sky, but you might be able to. I think it's 2.5-1 on Virgin Bet, so maybe 3.5-1 is good odds. But that's one that I don't mind if you think it's a shootout.
Yeah, Lamar has never thrown more than 1 touchdown in a playoff game.
Ignore me.
From what I remember. But this is a different Lamar. I do think the offense is a lot more rounded this year, and he does have a lot more weapons, which is what we all said at the start of the season, frankly. So I think we pat ourselves on the back for that one.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Who will be patting themselves on the back in the NFC on Saturday, second game, as we head to Levi Stadium, San Francisco, the number 1 seed in the NFC. Also 9.5 point favourites. 50.5 is the over/under, as is Green Bay. Seems to be quite a common playoff fixture over the last couple of, not in recent times, I suppose. Obviously, yesteryears, Aaron Rodgers would always be getting trounced by the 49ers, if memory serves me correctly. Will this Liam be going the same way?
I hope not, as a neutral, because I would like a weekend of no blowouts. So, I hope not. But I was talking on our podcast this morning and said, if for those 2 games, the big favourites, which game do you think would be the chance of the biggest blowout? And I do think it is this one, just because of how bad Green Bay's defense can be against the run. I think if you let Kyle Shanahan's teams kind of run the ball down your throat, and they're good in the red zone like the 49ers often are, then that could be a bit of an issue for Green Bay. But equally, I think they've almost got a better chance than Houston to win, just because I think how much better the Green Bay quarterback is than San Francisco's quarterback. So this is a fascinating one. I was surprised the spread was as big as it was. I thought it'd be 7.5. Again, if I had to do the spread, I would be betting with the underdog, unfortunately, for me, probably on Saturday night, if both those are wrong. But so I stayed away as a best bet. I've gone for where I think the weakest unit is and bet against that. So that's the Packers front. So I've gone for CMC over 18.5 carries in the game. They run him too much in the regular season when they're winning by 30 points, and they run him a lot when it comes to playoff time and they want to win a game. And I think Jordan Love can score points to keep Green Bay in the game. I think they'll end up being quite a heavy run script for the 49ers. So, I think CMC will run it 20+ times, hopefully, and that'll be the winner of the bet. But, should be a fun game. I don't mind the over, actually, as well on this total. But I've gone for CMC just because I think they're going to kind of run him into the ground like Kyle likes to do. But, I think Green Bay can win. Historically, one of these 3 underdogs, the bigger underdogs, will win. That happens every year in the divisional round. So one of them's going to win. So if you can bet the right one, you're going to be in for good money this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'd say it was heroics from Green Bay last week, but they didn't really need to do anything, to be honest. So, this does strike me as a blowout, kind of like a 35-17 type of game. But like you, Liam, hopefully not. Christian McCaffrey is 4-11 to score a touchdown anytime, and they thank you on that one. Adam, put him in your bet builders, guys. Put him in your bet. Also, he didn't score. He didn't score in whatever week they played. Week 18, did he say? But there we go. So he must be due. He's due one. Adam, your thoughts?
Yeah, unsurprisingly, won't be taking the 4-11. That's not the best. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it should be quite entertaining. I do think the Packers will be able to score points, and we saw last week they did take the ball first. So I've been trying to look at first quarter props and GB Packer related stuff. You can get over 0.5 points for the Packers in the first quarter at 4-6, which isn't too bad. Packers -3 for the first quarter was the spread line. I think it was a little bit over plus money. That is one of the little what that is my prop for this one was going for
Packers -3 in the first quarter.
Plus 3. Sorry, I just had to.
I was going to say that doesn't make zero sense.
No, Packers +3 in the first quarter.
Right, okay.
As I say, probably about even money. But yeah, if you can get Packers over 2.5 for the first quarter, I think that's probably a decent bet because, as I say, they did receive the ball last week. I was looking for team to receive. I'm sure it popped up somewhere towards the games last week, but I can't find anything at the moment. So that's one I'll be trying to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think it should be an entertaining game. Obviously, I've been quite apprehensive about Brock Purdy in the playoffs all year. I've mentioned it quite a few times that he does the job well, but I just don't know whether he's got enough once the going gets tough. I don't think this is where the going gets tough. I'm not sure next week does against the Lions or the Bucks. So, frankly, there you go. I do think the 49ers are probably going to blow them out. I do think that the Texans have more chance of covering the spread than the Packers do, to be honest. But I do think it's frankly again. You're going to make me so paranoid about that now, Tim. I do think that it is going to be the one seeds both going through fairly easily. I've gone for the over in this one because I agree with Liam and you. I think there will be points in 37. 35-17 is 52, so over 50.5 I'm fine with. I think there's going to be a lot of points in it.
Yeah, I can't touch the totals just on the basis of there are multiple scenarios where Green Bay don't score a lot of points, and not the San Francisco are a team that ever take their foot off the gas, but I wouldn't even be shocked if Green Bay only scored single digits in this one. Not to say that they're more than likely going to score 17 to 20. I don't know what their team line is, but there are scenarios here where they're single digits and then asking San Francisco to put up 42 or whatever it is, whilst again within the Rams possibility. That's why I can't take the totals either way. So 7-4 for CMC 2+ touchdowns, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Their team total I think is 19.5 or 20.5 on Virgin. So yeah, one of the two.
Right. I'd be inclined to go under on that, to be honest, but who knows? It's not.
You're hating because of last week.
No. I think Romeo Dobbs was amazing last week, and the gaps on the Dallas Cowboys defense were just absolutely super massive black holes. But I don't think they'll quite get the same luxuries as they will against San Francisco. I know they can be a bit soft on the back end in San Francisco, but I can see. Someone look up for Jordan Love's rushing line? I haven't got a thing in front of me, but that could be a decent one. He might scramble or rush attempts and stuff. So but I'd go
the only 6.5. The only thing I would worry about on that is that he was negating the pass rush last week by having a lot of 7 to 10 step drops like really quickly. So that obviously puts him behind 10 yards behind scrimmage already before he even starts rushing. It doesn't mean he won't be able to get there, and it doesn't mean he won't have some under center or from a lot closer in. But I think they'll probably use the same tactic here and have a lot of quick drops, which worries me against a far better defense than he faced last week.
But under. I'd probably go unders. But my best bet was San Francisco. San Francisco -9.5 as well. It screams blowout to me. Let's move on to Sunday then. The first one up is the other NFC game. You've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after comfortably handling with the Eagles. They travel to Ford Field, where Detroit and their fans hopefully be experiencing their second playoff victory in recent times. They are 4-11 favourites, -6.5 on the handicap. Over under here is 48.5. As well as the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield have done this season, Adam, I think this probably maybe one step too far, or do you see an upset here as well?
I've actually gone for Bucks +6.5. It's tough one to call, I think. The Lions have obviously been very impressive. Their defense still isn't as great as they'd want it to be. Obviously, the old adage is that defense wins championships, and the Lions isn't quite there. It has bounced back a little bit in recent weeks, but I think the Bucks will be able to put up points. I still don't entirely trust Baker Mayfield, obviously, but Mike Evans could have had 100 plus last week and a touchdown. He had a pretty egregious drop, which wasn't like him, frankly. There we go. Chris Godwin has obviously been playing quite well recently, and Rashad White's been great on the dump offs. And then they seem to have got Trey Palmer and Cade Otton going a little bit, so they've got a little bit on offense that they didn't really have for a lot of the season. I do think it probably is one step too far, but I do like them getting plus 6.5. Obviously, we'll probably pay up and take the plus 7 on it just to cover that. And then the Lions, they struggled at the end of the game last week. I think I've heard a few times this week they only got into the Rams 35-yard line once in the second half or third quarter onwards. It was
Half, yeah.
fairly unimpressive. Yeah, so getting out ahead, obviously that's what they want to do, and then they can run the ball, which is what they do very well with that offensive line. But the Bucks defense is fairly solid, and seems to have got better towards the end of the season as well. I do like Jahmyr Gibbs to score a touchdown, 10-11. He seems to have been getting a lot more of the ball recently. Obviously, him and Monty both scored last week, both rushing touchdowns. But yeah, I think it should be a very, very good game. And for me, I'm happy that this is the early one on the Sunday. I do think the Chiefs-Bills will be good, but I'll be honest, I'd much rather watch the Lions at the moment. So it's not just sour grapes because the Bengals aren't there, but I do like watching the Lions and seeing how they do. So I'm looking forward to this one. Annoyingly, I'd probably lean under the 49. It's the highest total the Bucks have had all year. The Bucks have been a solid under team for pretty much the whole season, because their red zone offense is terrible and their red zone defense is very good. So it's not one I would take, obviously, because I do think that the Lions defense is poor. But yeah, I've gone Bucks plus 6.5, and I've gone for Gibbs touchdown as my prop on this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those. It's just going to be a kind of a slugfest NFC game. I think in this one, I think both offenses are going to score quite a lot of points. I've gone over as my best bet. I think the Tampa Bay offense matches up quite well with the Detroit defense in terms of the pass game. Mike Evans should have another great day. Chris Godwin he seemed to get quite a lot of the ball last week from the catches I saw. So again, I think it just plays into their hands a little bit. Baker Mayfield didn't look as banged up as maybe people thought, I guess, last week, and obviously now he's had another week. Didn't seem to be touched much last week as well. So I think that will help the offense, and obviously you've got Rashad White out of the backfield as well. So and then I think we have Detroit being at home. I know it was kind of a squeaky bum time against the Rams last week, but that was kind of a storyline game, wasn't it? And it was just one of those where they just wanted to eke out the win, get out over there. I think they'll play with a lot more freedom, be a bit more relaxed, and they are the most aggressive on fourth down. So to extend drives and not punt the ball, you always the chances of having your drive end in points is increased. So I think the line, whilst it's high enough, I think it should sail over personally. But yeah, I agree, Adam. There is a chance that drives can stutter and stall and some weird stuff can go on. But I think these two teams know that they'll need to score points to win the game. So I don't necessarily see that many punts or for even if field goal attempts in this one. I think there'll be a lot of aggressive play calling because, like I say, if you lose this one, you're going home. So and these two teams kind of will leave it all out on the field. So I'm quite happy to take the over on that one. Liam, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough for spread and total. I think if it was 7.5 to 6.5, the Bucks would be quite a good easy bet, to be honest, with how they can throw the ball down the field and score points quite quickly. But 6.5 is a little bit difficult, so I'd probably lean Lions. But like I said, one of these three teams who's a heavy favorite is probably going to lose. So if you don't think it's the other two, it might be in this game. In terms of the total, I think a lot depends on how Todd Bowles plays it. He obviously blitzed Jalen Hurts into oblivion last week. If he does the same with Jared Goff, I could actually see the game leaning under, like Adam said, just because I do think if you can turn Jared Goff over, Todd Bowles is a defensive coach at heart. He'll then run the ball just to kill the game. He won't be throwing it as much as what the Rams were throwing it last week. So yeah, I don't mind the under, but we'll see. My best bet is I've gone for one that I mentioned last week, which is Amon-Ra St. Brown, over 7.5 receptions. This is a game where they will encourage the short passing game. They're not quite like the Rams that get beat over the top as much. Todd Bowles, like I said, loves to blitz, so those quick passes out to your receivers are kind of your quick wins just to move the ball down the field. And Jared Goff hates getting blitzed, so I think St. Brown will get in that 8 to 9 receptions again. Last week they went to Josh Reynolds a lot in the first half, and the bet looked a bit iffy. And then second half it was just Amon-Ra St. Brown every single throw. Nearly.
Absolutely pummeled him, yeah.
Yeah, and Laporta did play. So one of the reasons I said last week was obviously no Laporta. They'll throw it to him more. He did play, and he still got 9 receptions. So yeah, I think Amon-Ra is a good bet. I'm hoping this game is a fun one. Even if it's not a high scoring game, I think this game is going to have chaos. I'm talking like a massive punt return, Jared Goff pitching it backwards and it going to like Vita Vea who runs it in or something like that. There's going to be random fun in this game. But yeah, I've gone for Amon-Ra. I also don't mind the Bucks over 22.5 points. Not the best line. I'd like it to be a little bit lower at 20, but that's 11 to 10. So plus odds. And I do think they can score 24, 27 points in this game. So I don't mind that. And it's worth mentioning that Amon-Ra is even money as well. So it's not even 5 to 6. You can actually get it evens, which is why I like it. So yeah, they're 2 bets for me that I think we could see in this game.
Lovely stuff. Okay, let's round it off then with the final game from the AFC. Again, another one that we seem to be seeing most years over the last couple of years. Kansas City at Buffalo. Buffalo 2.5 point favourites in this one. 44.5 is the over/under. Liam, I'll let you take the floor.
The wise words of someone that I know. Frankly, this hopefully will be the best game of the weekend. You are right. I looked earlier and like every time LaFleur has played Shanahan, it's been Bills Chiefs the same divisional weekend. So it does almost feel like we're getting these two teams like matchups constantly. Yeah, this should be a fun game. Obviously, it's a lower point score. The weather's cold, but it's not like it was last week for the Chiefs game. It is going to snow on Friday and Saturday, but not like cancel all the flights snow like we saw last week in Buffalo. So I don't think the weather will be as big as a factor as what it was last weekend. So I think there'll be points scored. There usually is. Even this year, the game obviously would have got close to this total, and that was with that Kadarius Toney, Travis Kelce kind of missed 7 points that were there as well. So yeah, if I was an over-under better, I do think the game could go over. No surprise, and my best bet is Chiefs to win. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback ever against the spread when he's an underdog. Obviously, he is an underdog in this game. Chiefs have got the better quarterback, better head coach. They're the healthiest team. The Bills' injury report was actually worse than I thought. I didn't realize how bad it was going to be. They're going to be missing 3 linebackers, 2 safeties, 1 corner, 2 defensive tackles. So yeah, they're just the typical playoffs of best defense, best quarterback, healthiest team. So yeah, I think the Chiefs are the good bet, and I don't think there's any point doing the 2 for me. When I looked at the odds, I just thought 5 to 4 for straight money line was just a better bet. And if the Chiefs lose by one point, then okay, it's like, well, it doesn't really matter to me anyway. They might be winning profit wise off that bet. So yeah, I've gone for Chiefs money line. In terms of other bets, I like, it's not his best bet, but I like one of yours, Adam, with the Diggs the Diggs bet you'll talk about in a bit. He's banged up as well with a foot injury, so he might not even be full go, which I quite like. And then yeah, I actually like the first half over the total as well, because both these 2 teams come out quite hot in the playoffs, and then second half might be a bit tighter. So yeah, I hope the Chiefs win, but find out on Sunday. I love it. It's 11 o'clock, by the way, rather than 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's always around the 11 o'clock area, isn't it? Yeah, no, I've gone. Yeah. I think the reason I've gone Buffalo minus 2.5. I think this is all just revenge. That I think the Buffalo Bills are just due one against the Chiefs, and no other thought than just that. Yeah, I think it's just they're just due. I think Buffalo have been on a bit of a tear. Obviously, yeah, they've been playing playoff football since the middle of December, so I kind of think they're running on fumes a little bit. Yeah, I agree that I think if it turns into a run fest, and we'll say if Kansas City get up early 7-10-0 or something like that, then I think the run game they'll just be able to do whatever they want to the Buffalo Bills defense. But I think they'll just be a bit maybe punch above their weight a little bit despite the injuries because they're at home, and I think there's the carrot of revenge for Buffalo. And I think it's one of those where it's just a bit of a long time coming. So that's it. It's not necessarily statistical based, matchup based, or anything like that. Just a feeling of, I think it's just due. Buffalo are due an AFC Championship game, and yeah, I don't care necessarily who's in front of them. I just think they've got a bit of the grip between the teeth a little bit, and I think maybe they feel have a bit of freedom because they thought, they were 40-30% chance of playoffs when they were down in the dumps, at the start of December. So it's kind of a free hit, whereas normally it's kind of, a lot of pressure on Allen and all that to deliver, because they've been one of the best teams in the regular season and they've been far from it this season. So I've gone Buffalo -2.5. Adam, which you've gone for as well.
Yeah, the injuries that Liam mentioned are the only reason I have a little bit of doubt in the Bills in this one. Obviously, they're missing defensive players, but when you're playing a Chiefs offense which hasn't clicked for most of the season, even last week, Kelsey was dropping them in the first half. They've struggled. I was going to say they've struggled to move the ball. They haven't struggled to move the ball. They've struggled to complete. There was 4 field goals last week, which admittedly you can blame the weather. They had 5 or 6 field goals against the Bengals on New Year's Eve. Again, you can kind of blame the weather of that, but the Bengals defense has been terrible all year and they couldn't complete drives. So that's where I would worry if I was a Chiefs fan. But I know I do appreciate that Mahomes is I not even just the best player ever against the spread. I think he is the best quarterback that we've ever seen, and he will get the job done. He'll keep finding his players, even if his players do keep letting him down. I just think, I do think the Bills are the better team though, which is weird saying that. I think Josh Allen's obviously been on fire these last few weeks. I was tempted to go with Josh Allen under 228 passing yards. He's probably going to be right around there, just because the Chiefs' defense has been so good this year. That's why I have mentioned the Diggs under 62.5 receiving yards as my prop on this one. He had 24 yards against the Chiefs out of 11 targets in the game in the regular season, and obviously the Chiefs' defense, L'Jarius Sneed he will grab, he will hold, he will give away DPIs, but he won't let the guys catch the ball. So for a Diggs under, that one's probably a solid one for me. That's probably the prop I'll go for there. I think Josh Allen is quite possibly finally going to get an important playoff win, which is something he doesn't tend to do. And it is Mahomes' first road playoff game, is it? So that'll be interesting to see. I don't think there's any need to worry about him playing on the road. It's not like he's never has before, and he's been fairly dominant no matter where he goes. So Mahomes' rushing yards is probably one to look at. He only had a couple of rushes last week in a blowout win, and obviously in the cold he didn't want to get hit and have his helmet smashed to bits even more than it was. But he does step up when he needs. And if you can take something like the Bills losing in overtime after they score on their first possession, and then the Chiefs come down and score 8 points, then that would be a nice fun bet, because
that's the dream, Adam.
Yeah, that even for me, that is the dream. Just all the crying they did the other year, if they lose the game on the rule that they got changed, it would be hilarious, frankly. So there we go.
The only thing that really annoys me about Patrick Mahomes, and I wish he changed it, every time he wants to call a huddle, he does this little. He does this stupid little hand, like really, it really fucks me off.
Because he wants Matt Nagy to call the plays quicker. The bold insert swear word.
His middle 2 fingers. He's like this. Really,
it's better than the Cowboys.
I could be in the best mood possible. Show me a clip of him doing that, and I will just be. I'll be gone. Anyway, 28.5 for Mahomes, 44 points. That's quite high for Mahomes. 28.5, isn't it? Jeez.
Yeah, 22.
25-ish, I think, last week.
Yeah, 24.5. Yeah, last week. But in the playoffs, he averages I think it's 40 odd.
Yeah.
But you just get killed if they win, because then the kneel downs kill you. That's the time when for either of these quarterbacks, when you're like, then
I think that happened recently. That happened last year or year before, didn't it? I think it was like a 5
in both. Yeah, both Super Bowls. Yeah,
Super Bowls. That was it.
Yeah. So
28 does seem quite high.
Yeah, Pacheco and Cook 62.5, both their rushing totals. I do think.
Give me overs on Pacheco.
I do think they're both going to go over, to be honest. But yeah, Pacheco is going to get even more touches, I think.
Pacheco would be a decent one. Yeah.
Pacheco longest rush. I'm going to have a quick look for probably 14.5, no 11.5, something like that, won't it?
Even 86.5 Pacheco rush and receiving, and 81.5 James Cook rush and receiving. I don't hate either of those, because they're going to throw it to their running backs a lot. So we'll see.
Yeah,
are you both staying up to watch this game or not?
No, I've got a flight to catch early on Monday morning, so I won't be watching it. I'll watch it on the plane. I'll download it. Game in 45-minute flight, bosh.
Pacheco longest rush attempt 15.5.
That's a good
It's
bet.
right around. Yeah, I don't think I'd take the over on that. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get it, but I'd be looking for 12.5, 13.5 really. Yeah, I will hopefully be up, as you said. It is an earlier one for the late game, if that makes sense. So it'll only be 1:30, 2-ish. I'll get through to at least half time and see how far I get from there.
Don't text me if we lose.
Let's have a quick recap then of our best bets. Houston at Baltimore. Kyrie Fairbairn over 5.5 kicking points for me. Baltimore minus 9.5 for Adam. Over 43.5 on the total for Liam. Green Bay at San Francisco. San Francisco minus 9.5 for me. Adam over 50.5. Liam CMC over 18.5 rushing attempts. For the Sunday games, Tampa Bay at Detroit. I've gone for over 48.5. Adam's gone for Tampa Bay plus 6.5. Liam's gone for Amon-Ra St. Brown over 7.5 receptions. And then finally round this off, Kansas City at Buffalo. Me and Adam have gone for Buffalo minus 2.5. And of course, it wouldn't be a show if Liam wasn't going for a Kansas City win, but at least he gets plus odds this time. So fair play to you, mate. You do you, bro. So there we go. Yeah, like I say, after this week, just 2 more weeks to go. Obviously, Championship weekend and the Super Bowl. We won't be covering the skill games on the Pro Bowl. Sorry about that. But yeah, good luck everyone with all your bets. Thank you to Adam and Liam, and we will see you. Who's posting last in the last second in the chat? Mention Friday again next week. Yes, it will be Friday again next week. We are a day later. That is because of work commitments from my end. But yeah, good luck with all your bets. Thanks to the guys as always. We'll see you next week.